Hey everybody, Mark Edward Lewis here from Cinema Sound. Today we're going to do a little compare and contrast of the speakers from JBL that we use here at Cinema Sound, and hopefully give you an idea as to what would work best for your situation. Let's roll. We have a lot of speakers here at Cinema Sound, but the ones that we use the most are from our friends at JBL and Harman, and we basically have them in 4 varieties. I mean, JBL makes a ton of speakers, but these are the ones that we use here in studio and abroad. First is the Series 7, the 708P self-powered two-way speaker. Then there's the LSR series of speakers that we use both the 6 and the 5-inch variety. We used to have our 8s, but our 708s take the same footprint and give a lot bigger punch for value for us. We don't have a whole lot of studio space here. And then lastly, but not leastly, are the 104s that we have, which we love. They just go everywhere. We use them for all kinds of things. So let's start at the bottom and go to the top. So the 104s are really amazing speakers that are coaxial. That means the tweeter and the woofer are coincident with the listener. So they look like just a single speaker, but there's actually 2 in there. They go down surprisingly low in frequency, and the high frequencies are really clean. And again, very, very little footprint. They're active, they're fun looking, and they have a lot of output actually. So if you have very little footprint, space, like you're working in an editing cubicle or you're working at a computer and there's not a lot of space, these are really, really good answers to the question of how do I get good sound. You're going to probably have a lot more bass in your mixes than you otherwise would because, after all, they're tiny little speakers and you might be pumping the bass a little bit more. The way you solve that, of course, is to wear a great pair of headphones like our EX29s or the AKG K371s. And that'll give you a good reference as to how much bass is really going on in there. But pretty much other than that, for simple mixes or down and dirties that you just got to do them fast, these work really, really well. And for monitoring speakers in studio, because they have a really nice clean high frequency, you'll be able to pick up bogeys in the recording really, really well. And for the price, are you kidding me? So nice. Now, we've been touting the wonder of the LSR 3 for years, since we first were exposed to the LSR 308s. Amazing speakers, even the Mark 1s. If you can get a pair of any of the 308s, the 305s in their Mark 1 capacity, they're still really great speakers. Here in studio, we have 305 and 306 Mark 2s, which are amazing, even better if it were possible. And right now, they're actually even less money than the Mark 1s are on Amazon if you're going to shop there. So what's great about these? Well, they're incredibly flat, which makes them excellent for mixing, which is going to give you a good representation of your mix anywhere you go. Two-way speakers. The 305s are a little underpowered if you want to really drive them super loud, but both of these speakers are designed to be in studio. And because the 305s are, somewhat smaller than the 306s, you can still fit them into a cubicle if you're at an editing bay and get a really good low frequency response, as well as beautiful frequencies everywhere else. And the price, you just can't beat these things. I mean, the 305s you can stick in a bookshelf. Not that I suggest you put anything in a bookshelf, but if you needed space and you just needed some great speakers, that's how you would do it. It's also, both of these speakers are excellent examples of an inexpensive way to create a 5.0 system and then add a subwoofer later. And obviously the LSR 3 sub is amazing. Now there's a bunch of speakers between the LSR 3 series and the LSR 7 series, but that's what we have. That's our big jump, is to Super Pro speakers. And if you've watched the interviews that we did with the engineers at JBL, you know that the 7 series was really designed, especially the 708 and the 705, really designed for television trucks because there's just no room in there. But they pack a ton of power, incredibly clean sound, incredible transient response, go way down to 37 hertz, and not with any kind of passive woofer or anything. They just go way down there. Beautiful response all the way up to the highest harmonics of your speakers. Now you're going to, the sound spectrum rather. Now you're going to pay for that, to the tune of about $2,000 a channel. But they're the top of the line. They are the things that you want to be mixing on. Are they a lot of fun to listen to? well, you're not going to have a party with them and go, yay, yay, ha, ha. But that's not what these are not designed for that. These are designed for a flat response that's going to make your mix translate everywhere. And because they're so clean, you can use them in the studio for voiceover and recording because they're so clean, you're going to be able to hear bogeys just as well as if you had a cheaper speaker with a high frequency boost. And of course, with a high frequency boost, you're going to tend to want to mix your high frequencies down, which is going to make your recordings darker, which is bad. So what are the bad sides of putting all these together? Now, the negatives show up pretty much like this. You get what you pay for. The difference in sound and quality of a 104 versus a 708, dramatic. But so is the price point, basically $99 for a speaker versus $2,000 a speaker. That's a 20-factor difference. But the things you're going to run into, and we'll go top down in this case, with a Series 7, like most JBL drivers, especially in the high frequencies, they're noisy. As you turn the amp up, you're going to hear some of that. And if you're in a really tuned room, like we're here at Cinema Sound Studio B, where it's really, really quiet, you're going to hear that hiss. And again, that's just kind of what comes with the LSRs, 7s, and the 3s. The 104s, however, don't have that issue because it's a completely different amp design and it's only having to drive a tiny little speaker. As I mentioned earlier, the 305s might be a little underpowered, so if you're going to need to drive them for anything cinematic, that is where your dialogue is 85 decibels, you may find them, especially if you're using them for center, left, and right, you may find them distorting or overdriving, overloading. And in that case, they're only $40 or $50 more channel to get the 306s to put in your front, and then maybe put 305s in the back if you're really on a budget. And it solves it because the 306s have plenty of power. So which one of these should you get? Well, here's kind of the breakdown. If you've got money and premier sound absolutely matters, your mixes have to translate to cinema, to internet, to radio, to whatever, you got to get yourself great speakers, and you're just not going to go better than with the 708s or even the 705s for that matter for in-studio use. And unless you have a space issue, the 708s or the 705s will cover you in every capacity. Now, if you have an extreme space issue and budget issue, the 104s are the way to go. They're so inexpensive, so easy to use. You set them up, you drag them anywhere, and their sound is really unmatched for that price point, as well as the volume level that they can put out, which is pretty extreme. I wouldn't use the 104s for any kind of serious mixing because, again, your low frequencies and some stuff in your mids are going to get a little funky monkey just because they're such tiny little speakers. But for everything else, they're great. Then really the difference between why you would use a 305 and a 306 is power and space. The 306s sound better than the 305s because they're in a bigger chassis with a bigger woofer, so there's better low frequencies. But everything else about them is almost identical except for the volume, and a 306 has a more powerful dB SPL output. So if you're in a cubicle or space as a premium and that you could put on some nice headphones and figure out your bass mix, 305s work really, really great, especially if you're having to be in a really enclosed environment and you don't have to turn up the amplifiers too loud. Whereas if you can get space for the 306s, they're just not that much more money, and they're quite a bit better than the 305s in just about every respect, except for the footprint. And any of the 3 series speakers will work great for mixing or tracking. Hopefully this video has been valuable to you. If so, please subscribe to us here at Cinema Sound and come visit us at cinemasound.com where we have thousands of articles and videos to help you get that unfair competitive advantage in the Hollywood marketplace with immersion. Until then, we'll see you in the studio.
Even if it's where you're stuck.